Recording in progress.
Chair Ebnetter, we're ready to begin.
Welcome to this regular meeting of the Planning Commission this Tuesday evening, October 10th. I now call this meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ashley, can you please do the roll call?
Yes, Chair Ebnetter.
Present.
Vice Chair Patel. Present. Commissioner Nugent.
Present.
Commissioner Wiggins.
Present.
And Commissioner Williams.
Present.
Thank you. The conference ID for this evening is 886-7021-9923, and it's passcode 935504. Good evening and welcome. We are excited to be here in person with options for virtual participation. For those attending in person, complete a yellow request to speak form and hand it to the clerk. If participating remotely, use the raise your hand feature in Zoom and you will be called upon at the appropriate time. If calling in via phone, press star 9 to raise your hand, and when called upon, press star 6 to unmute. These options for public comment will remain available until I close the comment period for that specific item. Next on the agenda is public comment. Members of the public wishing to comment on any item not appearing on the agenda may address the Planning Commission at this time. State law prevents the Commission from taking any action on any matter not on the agenda. Your comments may be referred to follow-up by the staff. Public comment is generally limited to a total of 15 minutes. However, this is subject to the Commission's discretion and can be extended if the Commission wishes to do so. And one more note. We welcome speakers providing public comment, but please be advised this is a limited public forum. As such, speakers must stay on topic if speaking to a particular agenda item. If speakers fail to follow these rules, they will be warned, and if they continue to disregard our rules, their opportunity to speak will be ended. Ashley, do we have any public commenters on general issues?
We do not have any public commenters at this time.
Thank you. We'll close that portion of the agenda. So we'll go to item number 1. Public hearing, Baytree Way and 22nd Sabla Road, Duplex Condominium Conversion, Tentative Parcel Map and Parking Variance, PA-2022-064. We will start with the staff presentation, followed by applicant presentation, clarifying questions from the Commission, and public comments. The applicant will be given up to 15 minutes to present, and members of the public are given 2 to 3 minutes to speak, depending on the number of speakers. The applicant may also be given 5 minutes at the end to respond to the public comments. Once the public comment period is closed, the Commission will deliberate and render a decision. Finally, if a decision is made tonight, the decision of the Planning Commission can be appealed to the City Council within 10 calendar days. Can we please have staff presentation at this time?
One moment, please. Thank you. Through the chair, thank you. Good evening. My name is Laura Richstone. I am an associate planner with the Community Development, here to give the staff presentation on the proposed condominium conversion at 29 Baytree Way and 22 DeSalba Road. So the project site, as I said, is located at 29 Baytree Way and 22 DeSalba Road, and is just over 7,600 square feet in size. And it fronts both DeSalba Road and Baytree Way, as you can see on the picture to the left. The property is zoned R2, duplex essentially, and has a low-density multifamily land use designation, and is currently developed with a 2-story duplex. The duplex is attached at the rear, and it presents as 2 single-family homes when viewed from either street. Each unit has its own independent entry, attached garage, a 1-car garage for 29 Baytree, and a 2-car garage for 22 DeSalba, and backyards that are separated by a fence and a gate. The neighborhood surrounding the project is an eclectic mix, and it consists of duplexes, multifamily, and single-family structures with a variety of architectural types. So the existing structure was built in the 1950s, and the applicant is ultimately asking or seeking to convert the duplex structure into a condominium unit or units, which would make each unit eligible for individual sale and ownership. The proposed project would not increase the number of units on site or add any development beyond what is existing on site at the moment. The condo conversion would result in a 2-story, roughly 2,100 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom unit with an attached 2-car garage and 4,000 square feet of exclusive outdoor area for the 22 DeSalba Road address. And it would result in a 2-story, approximately 1,800 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath unit with an attached 1-car garage and about 2,900 square feet of exclusive outdoor area for the 29 Baytree address. It would also result in a common area of about 785 square feet along the east side yard for access to utility meters such as gas, water, and electric. In order to ultimately condoize the existing duplex, the applicant is seeking several entitlements. I will go through those entitlements in the next several slides and how they meet their associated findings. So first, they're seeking a SPAR, which is a site plan and architectural review permit, to legalize a roughly 260 square foot rear storage room and bathroom at the DeSalba unit. The storage room is highlighted in blue below and connects both structures, as can be seen in the image to the right there. Legalization of the rear storage room meets the development standards for this property and would not place the structure over its maximum FAR. In addition, the storage room is in scale and harmonious with the character of the neighborhood, as it's not visible from the right-of-ways, it's single-story, and it's also not visible from neighboring properties due to a good neighbor fence of approximately 6 foot in height and vegetation screening along that edge closest to the adjacent neighbor. Additionally, the design of the storage room provides a cohesive transition between the two structures. So that storage room has a low-pitched gable roof, and it's a painted stucco finish that's consistent and complementary to the roof form and colors and materials of the existing main duplex units. The second entitlement sought is a tentative parcel map to convert the existing duplex into condominium units with a common area for individual sale and ownership. The proposed parcel map would retain the existing structure on site, which was built in the 50s and is already serviced by existing utilities, and would continue to be consistent with the land use and density permitted by the general plan and zoning code. A parking variance is also sought for the structure and includes allowing a 1-car garage where a 2-car garage is required for 29 Baytree, and allowing a reduced parking stall size of 9 feet by 17 feet, where 10 feet by 18 feet is otherwise required for both units. As stated, the structure was built and approved in 1950 with the current parking configuration. And since the 50s, the city's regulations have changed, thus rendering the current parking on-site non-conforming. Due to the irregular shape and double frontage nature of the lot and the existing structural improvements already on site, compliance with the current parking regulations would require some degree of demolition, structural improvements, and alterations to the existing structure to accommodate them. The variance for parking is necessary in order to maintain the existing configuration and footprint of the building and would be in line and consistent with other surrounding development in the neighborhood, which was also built roughly around the same time and has similar non-conforming parking stall sizes and reduced number of parking spaces. A setback variance is also requested to allow a reduced right side setback of 4.86 feet, where 5 is required, and a front yard setback of 14.31 feet, where 15 is required for the Baytree unit, and that's highlighted in the green. The other setback variance, is for a reduced left side setback of 3.81 feet, and a right side setback of 4.77 feet, where 5 feet is required for the Sabla unit, which is highlighted in the peach-ish color. I would like to note that there was an oversight in the AR and that omitted the mention of the requested 4.77 foot reduced setback for the 22 Sabla unit, but that reduced setback was included and reflected in the factual data sheet, the project plans, and the resolution findings. So just to note, granting of the setback variance would not be detrimental for both units to public health, safety, or welfare, and that the reduced side yard setbacks maintain at least or more than a 3-foot setback from the property lines, thus allowing for adequate access around the structure for maintenance, emergency services, and egress purposes. As mentioned before, reduced setbacks are also common in the surrounding neighborhood, which was built between the 1940s and 50s. And granting of the proposed variance would allow the structure to maintain its current footprint and for the owners to enjoy the same substantial property rights as the surrounding non-conforming residences. 2 minor changes to the resolution are also proposed as well to correct a misspelling of the applicant's last name and to correct an instance of exiting to existing as seen in the snapshots with track changes here. Regarding the project's environmental determination, the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to Class 1, Section 15301K, which deals with the division of existing multifamily or single-family residences into common interest ownership, because the project represents a conversion of an existing duplex from single entity ownership into common ownership condominium units. In conclusion, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt the revised resolution with those 2 track changes shown previously, to approve a tentative parcel map variance for parking and setbacks, site plan and architectural review, and California Environmental Quality Act exemption for the conversion of an existing duplex from single entity ownership into a condominium, which would allow each unit to be individually owned based on the findings of approval and subject to the and conditions as well. That concludes my presentation. If you have further questions, I'm here, and the applicant is here as well to say a few short words.
Thank you, Laura. Let me see if we have some questions from fellow commissioners first. Any questions from commissioners of staff?
Yeah, hi, I have a couple of questions. I I didn't see anything in the documents, and maybe I missed it, but would there need to be a condition of approval for like a 1-hour fire rating between the 2 units? I mean, it may already have that in place, but I don't know.
There are conditions of approval requiring that the applicant submit a building permit to legalize that area, and through that review, if it's not there, it would be required to be so.
Okay, great, thank you. And then this, I kind of know the answer, I guess, just due to the nature of the project, but it seems that this doesn't require any like lot line adjustment, that the property lines are like to remain as they are.
Yes, it's very much kind of keeping what's existing there and just allowing those 2 units to be sold to 2 separate families.
Okay, and I guess like with condos, they don't have their individual property lines, like property boundaries. They share one property.
It's one property, yes.
Okay. And then one last question I had was, for the parking, for the unit that has one space only, or one garage space only, it looks like there's adequate space in the driveway for an additional like tandem space?
I believe, yes, I think there's at least 14 feet. That's enough in reality to park a spot. It doesn't meet our requirements for required
Yeah.
parking.
That was
But
one of
I do think, and the applicant can speak to it, that
Okay,
they would park there as well.
okay, those were just my kind of confirming questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioner Williams asked one of my questions, so thank you. My other question, I was curious if the property falls within a half mile of a major transit stop, if it was covered by AB 2097.
I do not have the answer to that. If it does, I'm not sure if parking would be required or not. And I can, through
the chair, that's a great question. If it was within AB 2097, then the applicant would not have to provide any parking and the variance would not be necessary. However, my understanding is this application may have come in before
I
AB
see.
2097 went into effect, so we've been processing the variance as part of this application.
Got it, thank you. Those are my only questions.
Through the chair, one quick question regarding the condo conversion process. In that process, you have areas that you own or you have your interest in, and then there's the common areas which need to be, I think, maintained by both parties. Sort of basic idea of condos and common areas. So we're not seeing it tonight, but I guess there would be sort of common area budget reserves and those sort of things that would come. Would that come with the CCNRs when that would be spelled out so that whoever's there, whoever buys in there understands there is this small sort of common area maintenance obligation that they're getting?
Yeah, so I can speak and then if you want to. Yeah, so the CCNRs, which would happen prior to final map approval, would describe that common area, maintenance, et cetera. And those would be reviewed by Public Works and the city attorney, prior to them being okayed by the city, so that we would ensure that that area would be upkept. And that would also be on the deed for both properties. It would show up in the title report, so any new owner or buyer would be well aware of their responsibilities for that area.
Thank you. That was my only question, Chair.
To the chair, I just wanted to note, I just mapped it from the address to, you're doing the same thing? It looks like it is less than half a mile.
It is 0.1 mile from a Samtrans bus stop.
Through the chair, we just received confirmation that it's not subject to AB 2097.
It's not?
It's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The AB 2097 applies to the 3 transit stops, the Caltrain transit stops, not to bus stops.
Perfect, thank you.
Sorry, through the chair, it's actually within a half mile of the Caltrain stop. It's very close to downtown. Yeah, I run there, so I like know this neighborhood.
Yeah, that's what I just mapped.
We good? Great. I do not have any questions. Does the applicant have a presentation?
Good evening. My name is Robert Russell, and I'm one of the owners of the duplex located at 29 Baytree Way and 22 Sabla Road. My wife and I purchased the property in 2018 along with my wife's sister's family, the Lorenzen family. The Lorenzens occupy 22 Sabla, and my family occupies 29 Baytree Way. And I can say that each unit really does function like a single-family residence. We would like to convert the duplex into 2 separate condo units so that they can be sold individually. In no way will the conversion change how the property has functioned since it was built in 1950. It will simply change how title is held. And we will not be displacing any tenants as we are the sole occupants of the property. The condo conversion will offer both of our families flexibility moving forward as we will be able to sell the units individually at the right time for our respective families. It will also open up more opportunity for future home buyers looking to live in San Mateo. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
And any questions for me?
We can come back to that. I wanted to get public comment first.
Okay. Thank you.
So Ashley, do we have any public commenters online or in person?
Chair Bnetter, we don't have any hands raised on Zoom right now. And if there's anybody in the audience who wants to make a public comment, just fill up a speaker slip now. But if not, you don't have to. So, looks like we're not going to have any public comments.
Thank you, Ashley. We'll close the public comment period and bring it back to the commission for any follow-up questions with staff and/or applicant. And then we can do our discussion on what directions we want to take. Any questions for the applicant at this time? Are we ready to look at the document that we need to consider? Could we please see the findings or the recommendation, please?
One moment, we're bringing up the recommendation now.
So this is the recommendation. Do any of the commissioners want to review the findings, or are we ready to go right to the recommendation?
Through the chair, I have no desire to review any of the findings. Yeah.
Okay.
To the chair, I would just like to note that I reviewed the findings, and I would say that it complies with all the required findings, including complying with the general plan, not being detrimental to others. I don't know if it was worded quite this way, but I just noted that, the property has an unusual condition. It's not quite a hardship, but that it has this shape going onto 2 streets, which other properties in the vicinity don't have. So it makes it a unique situation. So I think that it meets all the findings.
Great. Well, if we've got somebody who would like to make a recommendation, we're ready for that.
Through the chair, I'll make a recommendation to adopt the revised resolution as printed above.
Is that your motion?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'll make a motion. Sorry.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. Great. Can we have a vote, please?
Yes, Chair Bnetter,
Approved?
Vice Chair Patel,
Yes.
Commissioner Nugent,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiggins,
Yes.
and Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Passes 5-0. We'll close this item and move on to item number 2. Ashley, would you like to introduce the item?
Yes. Item number 2, Bay Meadows Phase 2 Development Agreement, Annual Review and Extension Request, PA 2023-50.
Thank you. We will start with the staff presentation, followed by applicant presentation, clarifying questions from the commission, and public comments. The applicant will be given up to 15 minutes to present, and members of the public are given 2 to 3 minutes to speak, depending on the number of speakers. The applicant may be also given 5 minutes at the end to respond to the public comments. Once the public comment hearing is closed, the commission will deliberate and render a decision. Finally, if a decision is made tonight, the decision of the Planning Commission can be appealed to the City Council within 10 calendar days. Rendell, are you presenting to us this evening?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Abnitter, members of the Planning Commission, Rendell Busso, Senior Planner. I'm joined by Lisa Costa-Sanders, Contract Planner, and together we are providing the staff presentation for item 2 this evening, which is related to the Bay Meadows Phase 2 Development Agreement, specifically an annual review and an extension request. So just an overview of tonight's presentation. We'll start with some background on the Bay Meadows Phase 2 area and its history. And then we'll cover a more focused discussion of the development agreement itself and the requests being made, and then conclude with public comments and next steps. So starting with an overview of the Bay Meadows Phase 2 area. So the Phase 2 portion of the Bay Meadows development redeveloped the former Bay Meadows main track, which is outlined here in red. Phase 1, which is outlined in blue, redeveloped the former practice track and barn area. Phase 2 specifically is located, locationally is bound by the County Event Center to the north, Saratoga Drive, and the Phase 1 area to the east, Franklin Parkway to the south, and the Hillsdale Caltrain Station to its west. In terms of site area, the Phase 2 area is a total of 83 acres, which has been divided into 18 blocks with a range of mixed uses, including residential, office, and retail. So just covering sort of the development or regulatory controls of the Phase 2 area. The bulk of the approvals were granted by the City Council in 2005. So starting with the Phase 2 specific plan, the specific plan provides the overall vision for the area and provides the allowable range of uses allowed in the Phase 2 area. And that maximum range of land uses was then analyzed in the Bay Meadows Environmental Impact Report, or EIR. The development agreement is another control, which we'll cover in greater details in the coming slides. And that specifically vests the developer's rights to build out of the specific plan. In addition to the specific plan, the Phase 2 area is subject to design guidelines and development standards. And finally, a series of site plan and architecture reviews, or SPARs, and subsequent modifications to those SPARs have been approved block by block, and that's allowed staff and the commission to verify consistency with the specific plan and the design guidelines. So here's just a more enlarged site plan showing the division of the 18 blocks. So this slide also shows the allowable range of minimum and maximum residential uses and office uses allowed under the specific plan. Most recently, in 2021, the Planning Commission considered and approved revisions to the mixed-use blocks, or MU blocks 2 and 3, which are highlighted here in orange. As this table conveys, the overall development is expected to comply with the allowable range of office and residential uses when factoring both the built projects as well as what's been approved for MU2 and MU3. So to convey the build-out status, here are some images of the completed construction that's occurred over the nearly 18 years, showing both completion of the office, residential, mixed-use blocks, as well as public parks. So with that, I'll pass it to Lisa to cover more on the development agreement.
Thank you. Good evening. I can go to the next slide. Thanks. As Rendell indicated, the development agreement was approved in late 2005, providing for an 18-year term. The agreement expires December 20th of this year. The development agreement outlines the build-out in accordance with the specific plan, and that includes 15 acres of public park space, 10% affordable housing requirement, and land dedication for a 68-unit affordable housing building. In addition, the developer was required to make these financial contributions outlined on the slide, in addition to regular city impact fees, city review fees, and building permit fees. As we are nearing the expiration of the development agreement, there are still remaining projects to build, as Rendell reviewed for you. And the developer is requesting a 3-year extension of the development agreement from an 18-year term to a 21-year term, extending the final term to December 20th, 2026. The extension request is due to the COVID pandemic and resulting disruption to the office and financial markets. The developer intends to build the remaining blocks under the development agreement during this extension period. Per the development agreement, as the amendment does not increase density, the city cannot impose further exactions, and the development agreement includes provisions for amendment by mutual agreement. This item does require Planning Commission recommendation with City Council as the decision-making authority for the development agreement amendment. We've also scheduled for you this evening the development agreement annual review. And due to staffing changes and the pandemic, we did miss 1 year of the annual review report, so we've decided to cover that in 2-year increments. And that's including in this review the periods of December 20th, 2020 through December 20th, 2022. The owner does remain in compliance with the terms of the development agreement, and there were no specific milestones required during this period. The remaining development is ongoing with Res Block 6 under construction, and MU2 and MU3 office buildings are in for building permit review, as well as MU3, the residential building, in for building permit review as well.
Thank you, Lisa. So with regard to public input on this item, staff received one public comment post agenda release. So it's summarized here. The commenter had questions regarding the Homeowners Association board composition, which that comment has been forwarded to the developer for review and response. In addition, the commenter provided comments expressing concern for the visual appearance of the vacant lots, MU2 and MU3. I do want to note for the commission that the developer is subject to a condition of approval, specifically number 31, for the MU2 and MU3 blocks, and that requires the project sites to be fenced and that the pedestrian sidewalks be kept clear to maintain an acceptable appearance or construction. And so staff's understanding is that the fencing and the sidewalks are kept clear. So touching on next steps, following this public hearing, staff will bring the Planning Commission's recommendation to the City Council for action on the development agreement extension request for a first and second reading anticipated for next month. Should the amendments to the development agreement move forward, the owner and the city would execute and record the amendment prior to the expiration. So to conclude, staff is recommending the motion shown on this slide. First, a resolution accepting the annual reporting for the period between December 21st, 2020 through December 20th, 2022. And also a recommendation to the City Council to adopt an ordinance for a 3-year extension to the Meadows Phase 2 DA. So this concludes staff's presentation. The developer is present this evening and will be providing some remarks. Happy to take any questions for staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Rendell. Questions for staff?
I have a couple questions. Can the applicant talk to the question of what happened, or maybe it's a question for staff, I'm not sure who. What happens if it's not, like if this wasn't approved and they were held to this date of December 20th, 2023? Are there penalties?
Through the chair, sure. Happy to start off with the response and let others add on. So the development agreement, again, just to summarize, is the agreement between the city and the owner providing the allowance for or assurance for the developer to build the project as approved in the specific plan. So if this request to extend were denied, the DA would expire, but that wouldn't preclude the developer from building the approved MU2 and MU3 projects as approved. It doesn't take those approvals away, so they could still pursue development of those blocks. If they wanted to extend that plan application further, I would note that the City Council did approve a code amendment to allow for planning application extensions recently. In addition, the Planning Commission approved a tentative map as a part of the MU2 and MU3 developments, and so the applicant could pursue a map extension, which thereby extends the planning application through the subdivision map back. So I think the key takeaway is that it wouldn't preclude development of the blocks. It just removes some assurances that are built in with the DA.
Okay, thank you. Could you, I guess I would want to, I'm just looking at my other questions. Probably one other really is all that matters. There was something, I don't know what page it was on, but there was a note about a first and second reading at council. What does that mean? Why would there be a first reading and a second reading at council?
Sure, so that's a procedural requirement. So to amend the development agreement, that requires an ordinance. And so an ordinance requires basically a first reading or an approval by the city council, and then it's then taken back to the city council for a second reading. And so if it's approved at the second reading, then the ordinance becomes effective 30 days thereafter.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Seema, no? Martin?
Thanks, through the chair. One question for staff. Noted in the presentation, sort of delay triggered by COVID-19, and obviously we've seen interesting things in the last several years that have gone on as a result. I was curious if, given that the DA contemplates permitted delays, so that sort of you can extend the term if something has happened. And I kind of thought that sort of a global pandemic would have counted as a permitted delay, but as I read it, it seems like it would have to be act of God. So I was just curious, did you look at that? And I guess you're not going that way. I was just curious with the thought process.
Sure, so through the chair, staff in working with the city attorney's office did look at the DA, and there is a clause, as you've noted, allowing for extensions granted that are based on factors outside of the developer's control, such as acts of God. I think in looking at it, staff believed that because there weren't any kind of official orders in place that precluded construction, that it wouldn't be consistent, with that clause, and so we felt more comfortable, bringing it to a public hearing to allow public comment and to allow public planning commission review to bring it as a public hearing.
Thank you. That was my only clarifying question.
Thank you. Adam? So I just had one quick question, Rendell. On the map that you showed, the 18 different parcels, I noticed that where the Montera was built, it was noted as MU-1. So is it actually mixed use?
It's on the MU1 site, which does have multiple uses, one being the affordable building, as you noted, as well as the Nueva School. So it's not mixed use in the traditional sense that I think the commission's used to with like retail or the commercial uses. It is all affordable residential, but there is another use that exists that's not residential.
Okay, thank you. Do we have the presentation from the applicant now?
Through the chair, just a few remarks from the applicant.
Thank you.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Janice Thatcher. I'm with Wilson Meany. I'm representing the applicant, Bay Meadows Land Company, and we're here tonight requesting a 3-year extension of the development, as Lisa and Rendell described. Over the last 18 years, we have built out all but 2 blocks at Bay Meadows. We have 981 homes, 5 office buildings, 3 public parks, the new Montera Affordable Housing Project, and we are here tonight wanting to complete the last 2 blocks. We do have an approved SPAR. We are in for building permit, and we look forward to completing these 2 last blocks at Bay Meadows. And appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Ashley, can we see if there are any public comments, please? Or commenters?
Chair Bennett, we currently don't have any public commenters. If you're on Zoom and you want to comment, then raise your hand, and in person, fill out a speaker slip. Chair Bennett, we have no public commenters at this time.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the public comment period and bring it back to the commission for deliberations and comments. How would you like to start? Any preference? Any questions of the applicant?
Through the chair, I don't have further questions. I was going to volunteer to go first just because we started at the other end for the previous item, but it's at your discretion.
That's fine with me.
Thank you. Through the chair. So just opening comments, I've visited the site many times, but prior to this, walked through it. I've met with the applicant, and I'm professionally acquainted with members of the broader development team, but notwithstanding those professional connections, I can and will remain unbiased and neutral as I evaluate the project. Having said that, and thinking back to when I visited the site most recently, I just have an overall comment, which to me, we should sort of take a step back and look at what a marvelous transformation this has been over 18 years. And if you look at all the planning work that was done, it's more than 20 years. And it takes a lot of work to transform a piece of land of this size into new homes, jobs, retail, and parks. And so that's the context for me in this is just we're at the very tail end of a huge 20-plus year process. And so I look at that, I look at the instability that the pandemic has wrought in the last few years, and I think those are real challenges that we've seen upend our daily lives. And in the development world in San Mateo, I think we're seeing that. So to me, that challenge is real, even if it's not a permitted delay in the DA. And so to me, that's sort of a practical, real need. And I view us as we're on the home stretch with the last 2 buildings. I was looking at our public commenters, sort of concerning about the current state of the sites. And so to me, the quickest path to get this project completed is just to grant the extension, and that was actually all I had. I'm curious for others' comments.
Thank you.
A lot of my thoughts are very similar to Commissioner Wiggins, so I do want to note that I did have the opportunity to meet with the applicant team prior to this meeting, and they gave me a brief overview of the history of Bay Meadows and the development agreement history. As far as this extension, it seems to me to be a smart thing to do. I think that there's really no benefit of not granting it for the city. And also, it makes rational sense that there would be delays due to the pandemic and also interest rates going higher. And I'd much rather have this project be delayed and hope for better financing situations where the actual quality of the construction is not compromised with trying to cut costs in other ways. So I think that allowing this to breathe a little bit could actually provide us with a better finished product.
Thank you. Seema?
I will echo the comments of my fellow commissioners. I think, just to repeat, the fastest path to getting those sites to be finished and not construction sites is to grant the development agreement. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the one comment I will make is that this has been going on, as you noted, for over 20 years. Market conditions can change a lot in 20 years. There was a comment in the staff presentation about how, we cannot impose conditions of approval on an extension, but the development agreement, can be modified by mutual agreement. As things continue to breathe, if the applicant, based on changing market conditions, wanted to come back with some changes that involved more housing, I think there's 202 units left in the bucket. I think that would be well received by the community, but, this to me feels pretty straightforward in the fastest path to completion.
I will probably be pretty similar comments to the other commissioners. I'll just go through my quick notes. I wanted to note that I also met with the applicant a couple weeks ago or so, and they reviewed the development with me. As you guys noted also, this is a very large development, including housing, office space, retail, a school, open space, and many amenities. The project has accomplished a lot in 18 years. Not quite on schedule, but there's also been a lot going on in the world, as we've noted, not to mention the Great Recession, the pandemic, and now inflation and higher interest rates. So we understand, or I understand, I guess I should say, that there is a need for this extension. And the desired outcome is to have the buildings completed and built. So, and it is previously approved. So if we were to deny it, they would have to get another SPAR for these buildings, and that would probably greatly delay the process. So I'm in favor of this extension, and I don't see any advantage to the city to deny it.
Thank you all. I don't really have anything to add. All great comments. Are we willing or ready to go to the recommendation for adoption of this? And is there a slide rental that you would like us to look at? Somebody want to make a motion?
Chair Ebnetter, just a reminder that there's no adoption. We're just making a recommendation.
Recommendation.
Yes, to City Council. Thank you. Oh, sorry. We are adopting a resolution for the annual reporting, but not on the other one piece. Thank you.
Thank you.
Through the chair, this is tricky language. Let me see if I can get this right.
I'm sure you can.
You're always good at that.
I would like to make a motion to adopt a resolution. Actually, it's right here for us. I see the adopt versus the recommend. Sorry. I would like to make a motion to adopt a resolution accepting the annual reports on the Bay Meadows Phase 2 development agreement, finding that the owner has complied in good faith with the terms of the development agreement for the period covering December 21st, 2020 through December 20th, 2022, and recommend City Council adoption of an ordinance to approve a 3-year extension of the Bay Meadows Phase 2 development agreement.
We have a second?
I will second the motion.
Thank you. Ashley, can we have a vote, please?
Yes, Chair Ebnetter,
Approve?
Vice Chair Patel,
Yes.
Commissioner Nugent,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiggins,
Yes.
and Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll close that item and move on to reports and announcements.
Yes, thank you. I have a few reports this evening. Let's start with the next Planning Commission meeting. So October 24th, we intend to bring the objective design standards back through a public hearing, including code amendments associated with the objective design standards and some streamlining efforts associated with it. So we intend to release the draft of the objective design standards by either the end of the week or early next week, and we'll share that with the Planning Commission so you have an opportunity to review it well in advance of the meeting. November, we have 2 projects lining up for a November meeting. We are really trying very hard to squeeze them in on November 14th. But as an alternate, it's possible that those 2 items may get pushed to November 28th. Now, that's typically, the second meeting is typically canceled because it usually falls on the Thanksgiving week. But this time it's actually after the Thanksgiving week. So I did want to do a straw poll, if we could here, to check if November 28th works for the commissioners. Okay, I see at least 2 thumbs up.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And as a
Okay.
reminder, I'll be gone, I will not be able to attend the 14th.
The 14th?
Yeah.
Okay. So we might end up canceling November 14th and moving those two items to November 28th. And that'll be a special meeting. I'll work with the administrative staff to set that up. Okay. Trainings, there is a Planning Commission training coming up on October 30th. It's led by the 21 Elements Collaborative Group. It's actually quite an interesting topic. It's called Plans, Passions, and Conflict, How to Promote a Healthy Working Relationship Between Staff and Planning Commissioners. I think we have a really healthy relationship, but if any of the commissioners are interested in going, I will certainly be attending. I know Commissioner Patel and Commissioner Williams may be there as well. Oh, Commissioner Wiggins is signed up too. Great.
Maybe there'll be
Commissioner
some
Nugent.
interesting, horror stories from some other jurisdiction for our entertainment.
Yeah, I'm sure. As it says, plans, passions, and conflict. All those three things can happen. We do continue on our path for the general plan update. So the City Council this month has been considering all the different elements. They had a very productive meeting last week on the community design and some of the other elements. Our next council meeting is on October 16th, where they'll consider the safety element, public services and facilities, and then the circulation element. So we expect some public works staff being present there. And then October 30th is a special City Council meeting to discuss the land use element, if you want to tune in. October 16th, the Complete Streets project is also going to City Council for an update. We are still in the Public Works team, and supported by CDD staff, is actively working on the Complete Streets project. So there's going to be an update on that before Council as well. And finally, I wanted to share that there has been a lot of community conversation on historic district designation and what it means in terms of CEQA and eligibility. And those conversations, given those conversations, our team has brought on a consultant to help us with some of our website content to make sure that is available to the community. So we'll be actively working on that over the next few weeks to put all that information online. That's all my updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Any announcements from any commissioners? No? Then we'll close the meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you.